This conference will now be recorded.
Hi everyone, good morning. Welcome to Splunk for Performance Testers by Isha. Let me share my screen. So anyone having idea of like what is Splunk, why it is used? Any guesses? Or
Uh,
someone already working on Splunk?
I'm not getting that much chance to work on that, but as per my understanding, that Splunk basically we are just going to use about the analysis about the log files,
Yeah,
and that is the objective we are just trying to use as a performance tester.
yes, yeah. So like basically Splunk is a log monitoring tool. Okay, what Splunk does actually is it will collect all the logs from the entire stack or entire infrastructure, whether it can be a application server, it can be a DB server, or it can be a web server, or it can be a router, or it can be a firewall, anything. Basically Splunk will collect these data. But why this data is useful, that is one statement, right? So first, why these logs are useful, what does these logs have? Okay, if you this is the sample event. Okay, this is a sample event of one of the log. Okay, so here I am able to get the IP address of the event, okay, from where the transaction happened, or the it can be like north pole. Okay, or and I am able to get the time, and I'm able to get that what is the action, whether it is a get, post, delete, or something. Here I can get the action and what I am doing. Here basically by seeing the log I am able to see the action is equal to add to cart, means I am adding some item to the cart. And what is that item? EST, something like it can be mobile phone or whatever. Okay, and what is the product ID, and what is the session ID? So if I have these information, okay, for a business point of view, means let's assume like I'm a business analyst, I want to know, or I am a customer, I want to know what are the items that has been sold on the completed day. You will be having this great billion, like Flipkart big billion day and Amazon on like days, right? Like where they will give offers, and what they will do, all the stack information, whatever the purchases happens, right, that will be present in the logs within few minutes. Okay, by like pulling out the date, or last 2 days or last 1 year, I can get the turnover. Here it is spent like how many mobiles has been sold. If I have a tag like what is the price, I can get how many items has been sold on that particular day. Yes or no? Let's assume this is the log of an SSH. This is a sample log of an SSH on a system. SSH, you know what is SSH, right? So SSH is something like if you try to log into a system via command line, that is a SSH protocol. If there are any failures, okay, if there are any password failures or something, no, that will be recorded in the logs. As you know, the log retention period within the application will be very small. You will be having last 5 logs or last 10 logs. After that it will be getting deleted. Okay, because the hard disk of the application will be over, right? It will be getting exhausted once again. Let's assume it is an application. You will be storing like access.log. You will be having something like access log, okay, access, like that. You will be storing something like access Last 5 logs are something you will store, later you will be deleting. Yes or no? So in a production system, if the logs gets deleted, let's assume you are getting one issue. Okay. If you want to see whether what is the occurrence in the last 1 year or last 6 months, you can't find out. So if there is any system, okay, which will collect these logs on real-time basis. If I am having some 1,000 applications also, I can pull all the logs and I can store in one system. Okay, that can be the Splunk, which is a log monitoring tool. Basically, what it will do, right? It will collect all the logs from the entire system, different applications, and it will store within it. And it will store something. We will name it as a bucket. Splunk stores the data in the buckets. Likewise, in SQL database, you will be having tables and databases, right? Here it is called as a bucket. For a tester, if I get an issue in a production, okay, now in your performance testing environment, if you are having Splunk, you can backtrack. Okay, the same error if you copy paste in your Splunk, and you can backtrack whether in your testing phase did you encounter that issue. There are chances, right? Whenever a production issue comes, first they will come to a tester and ask whether have you seen this issue, have you seen this exception. So how we can do? We can log into the Splunk and just copy paste that exception such that if there is any occurrences, okay, then it will show up, because we won't remember whether like 6 months back it might have occurred in 2 months back or 6 months back. We can't be accurate. Yes or no? That is the use of the Splunk. Hope you got some overview, right?
Yeah, Vibhu. Thanks.
Vibhu, I have a question. So
Yeah,
Splunk is
please.
a cloud-based hosted tool, or it's also a on-prem like servers installed
So there
somewhere?
are two versions exist. One is SaaS, okay. One is like on premises. It supports two.
Okay. And what is the retention period of Splunk? Like for how long it
That is
will
it is up
store
to
the
you.
data?
It is
So
up to
it
you.
is
You can store
based
it.
upon the settings.
Yeah,
Settings.
no. The infrastructure. Let's assume how critical the data it is. Let's assume you are working on a project which is something like a telecom or e-commerce. Okay, and you want the retention period for last 3 months or last 6 months. If you take something like a insurance, okay, where you will be paying premium only once in a year or something, but if there any mismatch or something, so what they will do, right, they will store the data for last 12 years, last 20 years, something like that. It is based on the application. Splunk can store like data in years, last 20 years data also it can store. It is
Okay.
based on the business to decide.
Okay.
Okay. So what?
Vibhu, this is
Yeah,
BVS.
please.
Hello.
Yeah, please. Yeah.
Yeah, my question is, what is the special features, I mean, available in Splunk compared to AppDynamics? Because what is the difference between other IPM tools and Splunk? Any special feature? Because most of the companies are using, I heard about it. Please explain.
Actually, both are different. So
Okay.
let's assume there is a complex infrastructure. Okay. One second. Let me draw. AppDynamics is used to analyze the heap and thread. Okay. Like it is used for analyzing the memory, CPU, and like full path. Okay. Yes or no? But here,
Yes.
the Splunk, right? It won't it won't get the data. It won't do that memory and all those. What it does, right? Basically, the raw data for the Splunk is the logs. Whatever that is present in the logs, it will keep it with it. Okay, I will tell one example here. If there is any transaction which is having some, okay, I will tell one difference. Let's assume AppDynamics is there. Do you think like that lab dynamics will monitor every transaction, whatever that is being generated? It will take some samples intermittently. Yes or no?
Yeah.
Agree? But
Yes.
Splunk, what Splunk does is, in Splunk, whatever the transaction that happens, that will be logged. into the log. All these transactions will come into the Splunk. So in Splunk, it will be having 100% data. There won't be any samples. Whatever
Okay.
the application generates, that will be present in the Splunk. Okay. If there is one application, let's assume there is a complex application. Okay. User is trying to hit one web server. After that, right, it will go to one application server and it will contact another system. Okay. Like that, there is a flow. Like for complete end-to-end transaction, it has to take some 7 to 8 paths. Okay, it has to contact some 7 to 8. If you take this OTP and all those, right, while doing a payment transaction in a e-commerce site for you, it is just a single server. But there, if let's assume there is something like grocery for which the application has purchased some vendor and they have integrated in UA. But back end, right, it will be a separate system. Yes or no? Let's assume Amazon has launched the food service for which they have bought Zomato. In UI, they will show you all these food dishes in the Amazon only, but backend it will call to some Zomato. So during that complex calls, what Splunk does is basically whenever the transaction goes right, all the the round trip time, okay, and the timing when it has logged and what is the transaction status, everything will be present in the log. So if I want to analyze where the bottleneck is, it will be a difficult task me to go and check in every system. If you have this Splunk, okay, as it has all the data, okay, from all the systems, at one place I can check where the bottleneck is, what is the turnaround time for each server and where it is pending. Got it?
Oh, I
One
mean,
of the
this is we can't find it in AppDynamics.
AppDynamics, it can't. Let's assume in there is one scenario. Okay, I will put it in this way. Let's assume your transaction timing is something like 1 hour. Okay, sorry, your test duration is 1 hour. First 10 minutes you
Okay.
have issue here. Second 10 minutes you are issue here. In the last 10 minutes you have issue here. There is a sudden spike in response time, throughput drop. I don't think in AppDynamics, right, in one chart you can see all these things. Huh?
Yeah.
And customization is also more. Splunk is having SPL where you can write queries and pull whatever the data you want. So for AppDynamics, right, whatever they present, you will use it. Okay, let's assume they are presenting you the average response time in AppDynamics, but I want a 95th percentile response time in every component. Is that possible? Or I want 85th percentile or 50th percentile.
Mm.
So you can write queries and analyze, like for first 50% transactions it is working. Okay, after 90th percentile it's fine. Okay, it is breaking at 93, something like that we can analyze. Got it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So using
Yeah.
the
I
queries,
mean,
right, you can try to extract. And one more thing, there are 4 transactions. Let's assume you are having 4 transactions. Scenario one is okay. Okay, in Act Dynamics you can't exclude, right? 2 transactions I want to monitor only payment. Is that possible?
sorry, can you please repeat your question?
So there are some 3 transactions, like in your test suite, there are add to cart, purchase and payment transaction. So I want to monitor
Mm.
only for purchase and payment. Is that possible to get the transactions, TPS as well as
I
the response times?
I think so. No.
No. But
Mm.
this is one of the use in Splunk. We can exclude the transactions which we don't want, and we can exclude the endpoints which we don't want to monitor.
Okay. I mean, looks like this is not a. If
It's
AppDynamics we
not
can
a
see in the
no, no, no.
visualize
Uh,
APM to
Here also we can
visualize.
do visualization. Here also we can do visualization.
Okay.
Basically, the raw data will be present in the logs. Okay, that will be extracted to the Splunk, and we will write queries and we can prepare the dashboards.
Okay. And I mean,
Okay,
pre-knowledge is the SQL is the basic required for
SPL,
Splunk.
SPL, SPL, SPL. It will be easy only.
SPL.
SPL.
Okay. Oh,
You understood
okay.
now, right? The difference between AppDynamics and the Splunk and the capability of the Splunk, because most of the people will
Exactly.
get confused. Why AppDynamics and why Splunk?
Mhm.
Can we have two things in one project? Yes.
Okay.
Now you understood, right?
Okay.
That what AppDynamics is, it will do sampling for some transactions. It can't monitor everything. But Splunk,
Yeah, I
it
got
will
it.
whatever that log generates, right? Even like one transaction, there is some transactions which you want to monitor. You can backtrace, okay? At any component using the session ID if you have common, or if you are having any like matching ID for all the components. If I give that matching ID, right, then I will be getting the logs of all the events of that particular transaction.
Yeah, yeah, got it. But my last question is, we can't give CPU memory heap
You
in
can give,
Splunk when
you
we.
can do anything,
Okay.
you can give anything, but the people prefer AppDynamics. Splunk can monitor anything here. Okay, it has some add-ons feature, it can monitor anything in the world.
Okay, you can create dashboard, CPU memory heap,
Yes,
everything.
yes, yes, everything we can do. Okay.
Okay, okay. That pre-requirement also you can in this course you can
Yes,
elaborate
yes, yes,
the
yes,
pre.
yes. Yeah,
Thanks, thanks, Vaibhav. Thanks for clarifying my doubt.
yeah, 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 you can ask questions. Okay, at any point you can stop me.
Thank you.
So basically, what Splunk will do, right? It is a proprietary software. It will collect, search, and analyze and visualize the machine generated data. Machine generated data is something like log. Log is also machine generated data. Or if you take any IoT system, it can be a temperature or it can be other thing. Okay, so those are all the machine generated data. So it is also used for the big data analytics also. Okay, what Splunk monitors basically? It can get the data from servers. It can get the data from Active Directory, Windows system, radio frequency devices, sensors, virtual machines, app servers, web servers, databases, okay, security devices, mainframes, okay, networks, Exchange servers, applications. So basically, whatever the systems that exist, right? The Splunk can pull the data from there. Okay, so it is a global database where you will be having all the data of an organization. Okay, now I just now told, right, like Splunk has many use, like logs are very useful. Okay, the developers and testers can investigate and troubleshoot the application, the issues in the environment. Just a second. And production and operation teams, they will be used for monitoring the systems. So they will be seeing like what are the transactions that are happening that particular day or particular peak hours, or if there are any like projections like big billion day or something, no, they will be closely monitoring the system. They will be having the dashboards and alerts. That feature is also available in the Splunk. Like if you are getting some errors more than some, but in a minute, if some transaction is failing more than 10 times or 50 times, right, it can send a mail to the required people. Okay, and security team to like monitor the logs. In previous years, no, like if there is any security breach, you will be knowing after 2 days or 3 days. Okay, because the logs will be, they can't analyze the logs on the fly. But now using the Splunk, now you can create a dashboards. Like let's assume there is one scenario where normally in an organization there will be some 60 login failures for every 10 minutes. Okay, that is the normal trend in an organization. Let's assume if that is coming from one system, the 10 login attempts are coming within 1 minute from
Vaibhav,
a login.
your internet is, I think, your voice is not clear. Could you please stop? Vaibhav talking.
Is it so? Okay,
Hello,
is it
hello,
clear now?
Vaibhav.
We can
Yeah,
hear
yeah,
you.
yeah.
Your voice is not clear.
I can
Is it
hear you well.
Yeah.
maybe the problem is from your end? Okay.
Yes, yes. Now, now,
So,
now.
okay. So if 10 people or 10 logins are happening within 1 minute from one particular IP, then someone is trying to attack, right? The system. So we can have some alerts created for that and like block that particular IP address or that particular machine. That can be done by the security analyst. Splunk is also being used by the security analyst. There is one component called Splunk SCIM, okay, which will be used for monitoring the like enterprise infrastructure for security point of view. So normally you are just monitoring only your application servers, but as an organization, if you take TCS, okay, for your project you may be having some 500 servers, but as a global organization, now it will be having some few thousands of servers, maybe lakhs of servers. So the hacker can try to attack any of the system. Okay, if they have this Splunk uh, like monitoring that system, no, if there is any breach or something, no, they will try to identify as soon as possible. Okay. Okay, and there will be something like compliances like HIPAA, SOX, and PCI, where you have to the whatever the transaction that happens, no, you have to store it for some particular years, like 5 years or 10 years. So you can use this Splunk to store last 5 years or 10 years data, like log retention. Okay, there are some competitors in Splunk like LogDNA, Elasticsearch, okay, and Sumo Logic as well as the SolarWinds Logly. Out of which, right, the popular one in commercial is the Splunk, and in open source, Elasticsearch is more popular. So if someone wants to take career path, right, Splunk offers separate career paths as well. So there will be some Splunk admin who will be taking care of the infrastructure. Likewise, if there is any AppDynamics, there will be some AppDynamics team who will be doing the installations and all those configurations, right? In the same way, there will be a Splunk admin, okay, and there will be is something like a Splunk developer. Okay, Splunk developer will develop the dashboards based on the client requirement. Okay, and in some companies, right, there will be one person who will be doing the Splunk admin and developer. Okay, if you take other persons, okay, like testers, developers, or business analyst, as I mentioned in the like prior use cases, by using the SPLs, if they want to, like if BA is there, he want to give you the NFR. Okay, what he will do, right, he will log in into the Splunk, he will write queries, and he will give you the projection numbers of last 5 years or last 3 years, or if there is any like like buffer that needs to be added. Okay, if there is any projection 30% increment or 40% increment in the load, that can be also seen by the BA, and he will be giving you the NFR. Support team I already mentioned. Admin, if admin is there, there are some 20,000, 30,000 Linux servers and 10,000 Windows servers. If he wants to monitor, he can't log in and monitor into every system. So the Splunk enables the feasibility if you forward all the logs into the Splunk, right, in one shot, in by selecting one time window, he can be monitoring the logs, and it can be used by the developers and testers and security people. Okay, so actually this is the Splunk architecture. I will show one small demo. So let's assume, okay, I have an application server. I will just show how it pulls the logs.
Can we install the Splunk server in our local machine?
Yeah, you
And
can install. Okay,
okay, is it free?
it's free.
Okay.
Okay, okay, not an issue. Looks like, okay, it stopped. Okay, looks like my application server is down. I already have Splunk open. Okay, so basically I have installed the Splunk. Okay, this is Splunk URL. This is how the UI looks. I have installed it in the local. Okay, and the duration, like you will get the 3 months trial period. Okay, you can use it for some 3 months. After that, right, you can destroy it and you can reinstall it. It's not an issue. Okay, Splunk, as I told, Splunk supports two variants. One is SaaS and one is the on-premises. This is the on-premises stuff. Okay, what I will do, right, just I will upload one file. I will get it from Splunk itself. So Splunk. Okay, so if you want to like create one account, right, just provide your usernames, passwords, okay, email ID, phone number and all those. Okay, and click on agree. Okay, you will be able to create an account. Okay, this is pretty straightforward. Just provide your details and create an account. Once you create an account, right, you can log in and download the software. So the current version is like 8.2.4. This is the latest version of Splunk. Okay, I'm already having one account. I'm logging. Okay, so now what I will do, right, I will give you one diagram. Okay, so how AppDynamics or one agent will pull the data. So you will be having one application server or something, right, and in that there are like multiple applications, and here you will be having one server where it will store the data. In the same fashion, what you will have, Splunk also will have one software that needs to be installed. If it is in a Dynatrace or if it is in AppDynamics, right, you will be installing the agent. So in order to send the logs or to send the data from source systems, right, here you will be installing something like a universal forwarder. Okay, if you have this universal forwarder, what it will do, right, in this universal forwarder you will do some configuration and specify what are the logs that needs to be sent. Let's assume this is an application. Okay, in this application, okay, you will be mentioning like my application logs are present in this following path: app slash box slash apache.log slash. So normally the logs will be present in some particular paths, right? So in this universal forwarder, you will do that configuration. You will tell like what logs it has to pull. It has to send to the server. So it may be having so many hundreds of servers, out of which you are interested to send only some 3 or 4 logs. Okay, based on that configuration, okay, you will be specifying like what logs to be present and where it needs to send. Like it needs to be sent to the like host. No, this is my Splunk indexer. You will do that configuration and you will be sending the data. This is how the Splunks gets the data from the multiple systems. So you will need to have a like a universal forwarder. It is an agent basically. It will be like 40 or 50 MB. It is not a heavy weight. If you consider Dynatrace agent, one agent or this AppDynamics agent, no, it will be in like plus 100 MB, 100 or something. Okay, but this one is a very lightweight process. And you will be having the Splunk. There will be basically two types of softwares. One is the agent software, one is the Splunk software. Clear? So if you go to the site also, Here you will be having Windows, Linux and Mac. Okay, this is the Splunk like software version with main Splunk, so main software for Windows, right? It will support like Windows 10 as well as the 2016 and 2019, whereas in Linux, no, it will support RPM, Debian and tar. So like normally you will be in companies, right? We will go with the tar. Okay, we won't go with RPM or Debian. Mostly we will use the tar based installation, and it will support Mac as well, but 97 to 98% of the infrastructure will be present in the Linux. Okay, this is the regular Splunk software and universal forwarder. So if you want to do the agent installation, okay, so we can install the agent in Windows. Okay, here also here it is just a 80 MB or 60 MB file based on the architecture. Okay, and it supports Linux. In Linux also it supports multiple architectures like 64-bit. Okay, and Mac, you can get the data from the Mac, and you can get the data from the FreeBSD, Solaris and AX operating systems. So this is the compatibility of the Splunk. So let's assume if you want to get the data from your application server, if it is built on Linux, right, just install the Linux operating system. Sorry, just install the universal forwarder in that. Okay, and you can and do the configuration. It will be pooling the data. Clear? You understood what is the difference between the universal forwarder as well as the normal Splunk indexer? Any doubts till now?
Yes,
Vivu, could you repeat, please?
Okay. So Splunk has basically two softwares. Okay. In AppDynamics also you will be having two softwares, right? One is the client side installation, one is the server side installation. In the same way, Splunk server side you will be having something like a Splunk indexer, okay, and where it will store the data in buckets. Okay. Now let's assume there is one system, Windows Linux system, and I want to send data from this Linux system to Splunk. It is not a agentless stuff. We need to have one agent to send the data that logs. Okay, if I install, you have to install something like a universal forwarder. Universal forwarder is an agent that ships the logs whatever you specify in the Splunk. Got it?
Yeah, Vivu, it's clear now.
So all the data will be stored in something like an index. For every project you will be having, for every application, you will be having some indexes. Okay. So this is the drop down where you can like get the data of last 15 minutes, last 1 hour. You can filter out the data. Okay. Now here I am going to some Linux based system. Okay, sir. I am going to one host. Actually for this host, okay, I will show the host. Okay. So this is the Windows machine which has N90 INPS. Okay, this is the host name of that particular server. So what I have made now, I have made configuration such that in my Splunk I am getting the data of the N90 INPS, that host machine. Got it? So what type of data I'm getting? I'm able to get, I have configured some agents. Here what I'm getting is I'm getting something like catenilla logs and some CPU, memory and all those. So if I take this Catalina log, okay, here I'm getting some logs over here. Okay, so here like previously here I'm having the raw data. Let's assume initially here I'm having the raw data. This is the raw data of this Catalina server that is being displayed here. By using some SPL queries or something, now I can able to visualize in a proper format. Got it? That's what we do in Splunk. Basically, you will be getting the raw data. Using that raw data, we will write some queries to get that value captured in some like human readable format. Got it? So this is I will start the my application server got restarted. Just a second, I will close the Tomcat and start it again. Yeah, now it is up. So now you saw it. Previously the count was 85. Now we got more count. If I do some operations, I'll do this transaction. I will just do one business flow. I'm confirming the payment and I'm signing out. Okay. So if I go to my Splunk, okay, if I do a refresh or something, now I have some events. Okay. So I can see, one second, I can filter out the data, whatever the transactions that were recorded. Okay. Here, so this is the one log file. Okay. Not this one. So basically, okay. So basically, right, in this Splunk, first I will explain the UI. Okay, in the Splunk, right, first you will be having the events. In events, what it will display, right? It will be displaying the metadata and the actual data. Metadata is something like the data which is associated to any log file, any pattern. So let's assume this is one log. Okay, for this there is some metadata. Metadata describes the data about the data. This is some data. Okay, for this there are some questions from where it is coming, what is the host name, and what is the type of data. These are the three questions you will ask whenever you see any log, right? Let's assume I have presented you one log. First question you will ask is like, from where this is coming, what is this log type, means whether it is an application server or it is a CPU or it is a like a WAS server log or it is a Tomcat log, and what is the from where it is coming. So that is called as the metadata. If you see here, right, host, from where it is coming, and what is the type of data. This is a memory data, and source type is something, the source is something like the actual path of the log file. What is the log file from where it has come up, and source type is what is the type of data, whether it is memory or it is a CSV file or something like that. So for every log that gets generated in the system, Splunk will add what is the time, what is the host. Time is something like when it got generated, from where it is coming. Okay, what is the source log file. You will be having some log file name when it gets generated, right? That log file and the source type. So people will get confused between source and source type. Source is something like, let's assume here in the same example there is something like a Tomcat. Okay, this is the Tomcat. I'm up in my Linux box. I am running Tomcat in that. This is my location. So this will become as the source type. Okay, and the actual log, whatever it comes, right, that will become as the source. Okay, host is the IP address or the host name of the particular log file. Clear? Now you understood the difference between the source and source type. Let's assume in your company they have asked you to check only the application servers of Tomcat. Then you have to select this particular source type. Source type is equal to application server of Tomcat. Okay, so here I will show you. Source type, here you are having something like catenina log or something, no? Let's assume in your application, in your entire solution, you are having VAS server, or you are having Tomcat server, and you are having some other app server. So what you can do, right? You can select, let's assume you want to select for only VAS, means you have to select this VAS server. Then the events that are related to only that particular app server will be coming, and this event may have, sorry, if you select the source type, it may have the data from multiple systems. Okay, it may have the data from this server, this server, or this server, 3 servers. If I select a criteria source type as VAS, I will be getting the data from all the servers. Now there are 2 filters that I can apply. I can specify I want to get the data from particular host, or I want to get only log. Okay, in that I already know, like in this host there are issues, and that log file also I know the name. So 2 filtrations I can do. I can select the host name where the log for that particular failure, or I can select the source. This is the actual file path, no? C programs Apache Tomcat logs Catalina, this one. Okay, this is the path. If I go to my source system, program files, Tomcat logs. You are seeing the Catalina and localhost logs, right? Catenilla access. These things you are seeing, no? Catalina 2020, so 2022 121. This Catalina 220121. This is the log. Okay, you can be precise and monitor only that particular. If you add that filter, right, then you can get the data of that particular server, so that you can pull the data. Clear? Understood, or any doubts?
So that path for source, you have given it manually or you just pulled
No, no,
it
it will come
from
auto
the...
populate. So
Okay.
basically what will happen, no? One second. That you will be mentioning in the configuration itself, Splunk configuration itself. Splunk Universal Forwarder. Okay. So there will be something like inputs dot and outputs dot conf. Actually, for this system, I haven't configured this input dot conf, but I will show the output dot conf. So here you will be specifying to where the data has to reach. Got it? I will show one sample pattern. How the Splunks gets the data, right? Monitor. You are seeing right here, there will be something like a monitor stanza. in your configuration in input.conf, you will be specifying something like monitor colon slash slash and followed by the log path. Got it? So based on this configuration, whatever you specify, right, Splunk will know like it has to pull this particular file, and as it knows, it will be auto populating you the log file name as well here. Got it?
Okay.
So there will be something like, let's assume if you want to do this, so how you will specify is you will be putting and okay, like that you will be specifying the configuration such that the Splunk will know to take this data. Okay, let's assume I have to put something like this star. If I put star, whatever starts with Catalina dot anything, right, it will be pulling that data. Clear? You should not restrict it to only one file. You have to use this star to pull all the logs whatever that gets generated in that particular path. Or I can use something like this one. I can specify something like, just put the directory as well. If you want to get the data from particular directory, right, you put like this. What will happen, right? The Splunk will take whatever the files that are there in that particular path and shift to the Splunk. Like that, you will be doing some configuration such that Splunk will know how to get the data. Clear?
Yes.
So now I will explain like what will be covered basically. Okay, now you understood like what is Splunk, what it does, right? So like we'll be discussing the overview of the Splunk, what is Splunk, and we'll be discussing about the architecture and components. Till now, right, you know only Splunk Universal Forwarder as well as the indexer, but Splunk has this much architecture. These are the multiple components. You will be having Universal Forwarder, okay, heavy forwarder, indexer, cluster manager, search head, deployment server, and license master. So there will be like n number of components. Okay, if you see the architecture, it will be something like this. You will be having multiple indexers. There will be like multiple search heads. I will be explaining the architecture of the Splunk. Okay, and I will be discussing about this, how to install the Splunk in Linux, okay, and as well as in the Windows. Okay, and Splunk will be providing some sample data to practice. Okay, I will tell you like how to get the data, and I will show you like if you want to get the data from one universal forward from one machine like Windows or Linux to Splunk, how to do that configuration, that I will be telling. Okay, there will be like different types of users: administrator, power user, as well as the user. Okay, so the user will have only read only access. Okay, like power user, right, he will be able to do the configuration, like he will be able to create dashboards and all those. He will be having some limited privileges, and there will be an administrator role who will be having all the privileges. Okay, he can control these two people, power user as well as the user. Okay, so I will be explaining, like till now I haven't explained much about like what is this host, what is the interesting fields, okay, and what are like what is this drop downs and all those. I haven't gone through, right? I will be giving an overview of the events, pattern, stats, and visualization, and I will be explaining like what is an index, okay, in a Splunk. Okay, and how to ingest the data. Ingest is something like getting the data into the Splunk or onboarding. Okay, now after that, right, we'll go through some SPL queries, like we can use some operators and or. Okay, the difference between not as well as the this not. Okay, and like if you want to extract the fields, okay, you should know first basically how the Splunk extracts the data. Okay, so in simple, if I want to say, right, now there is something like IP address. Okay, there is something like a here I don't have. Okay, if there is something like a add to cart operation is equal to add to cart is there. Okay, now I want to get that add to cart in one variable. Okay, action is something like we have three actions. One is add to cart, purchase, and delete. So I want to store this in one variable. Okay, so we can extract the fields basically. Okay, we will be discussing about the delimiter as well as using the regular expressions, how we will be extracting the data. So there are some commands where you can use like top, rare, stats, count, distinct, so replace, head, tail. So these are the functions that will be used in the Splunk SPL. Okay, we will be discussing about this SPL. Okay, and we'll be like discussing about the macros, and there will be some charts. Just now I showed one number. Now that is a single valued chart. Like that you will be having something like what to say, like line chart, bar chart, column chart, area chart. Okay, scattered chart, and we will be discussing about the dashboards, and there will be something like workflows and reports and alerts. We'll be discussing all this. And there is one more beautiful feature in Splunk, okay, which made it popular. That is something like a Splunk add-on. So basically add-on is something which will install in the Splunk to monitor something. Okay, so Splunk can monitor any system. I told, like it can monitor antivirus, it can monitor like Linux system, it can monitor other systems, right? So actually there is some category. If you go to the Splunk base, right, this is the app basically. If you install this app, right, let's assume I will take DevOps. Okay, now the Splunk can integrated with Jenkins. It can be integrated with Zira. Okay, it can be integrated with New Relic. So if I have Splunk in place, okay, in Jenkins, what information you will have? You will be having what are the builds that are passed, what are the builds that are failed on that particular day. Yes or no? Those gets recorded, right, in the Jenkins. If we export the data to Splunk using the Splunk app, what will happen, right? Over a period of 1 month, how many builds I have, builds that are successful, how many builds got failed. Got it? If you like add this to Zira, then how many tickets that are being closed on that particular day, how many creates that are created, what is the severity for like how many tickets that are with critical, major, and minor, and who raised more tickets. Those sorts of information can be monitored in the Splunk. Clear? It can this is only for one DevOps. If you go to IT infrastructure and all those, right, so if you go to security, fraud, and compliance, there are only like 1500 applications. Got it? So it can monitor from multiple components. These are the vendors. Okay, Trend Micro, AWS. I've marked Office 365. Got it? So this is a beautiful feature with a Splunk base where you can integrate any system to Splunk. Let's assume you want something like you want to monitor for Windows. Okay, I have to select. I want to do it from the this. Okay, and I can select some IT operations. There are two things. One is app and one is Windows. So like this, it will get the once that app is installed. No, you will get the data like this. So host, log name, source name, task, event code, something like that. It will put in a pictorial view. Clear? Now if you have any questions, I will answer. Like that it can monitor, you can explore, like it AWS is there. If you take AWS, so you can get like what are the instances that are running over time. In AWS, right, you will be spinning multiple instances. Like you can get some historical data on someday how many instances that are running and what is the cost estimation. Got it? And on each day how many hours there will be some 10 or 20 or thousands of servers, total number of servers, those things will be present over here. Like if you have any questions, I'm done. If you have any questions, I will answer.